Rank tracking can be quite expensive, and since Google removed the num equal to 100 parameter, it's unlikely that it will become better in the next months. And in total, there are two different ways to track keywords efficiently and also cost effective. You can either activate the bulk data export and use BigQuery, or directly the Google Search Console API and create the required logic for fetching performance metrics and so forth. But as you can see, we have it only on the country level. And let's say you want to track keywords based on the city. Then there are again two options. You can either buy an expensive tool or use directly an API that can do that, combined with a simple automation like this one. But let's have a look first into the dashboard and how it looks like. And first of all, this dashboard is built in Looker Studio, and right now it's connected to a Google Sheet, which contains the ranking data. But it would be also possible to connect this dashboard with a SQL server, or even better, directly with BigQuery. This dashboard features two different pages, rankings and keywords. The rankings page is more kind of an overall ranking analysis, and the keywords page enables you to drill down based on the keyword or also page level. Next, we have also different filters in order to shrink the data down. As an example, we can set the domain because this workflow, or in general this dashboard, is able to handle multiple domains. Next to that, we have also filters for the device, of course the location, a date range filter, and a specific filter for the keyword, as well as for the ranking URL, where you can also configure if you want to search for a specific keyword or only keywords that contains a specific substring, regular expressions, and so forth. And all of these filters here are also report level. That means when I start to set a filter, they will apply directly to the complete report. And I can also show you directly an example. Let's say I want to analyze the rankings for this specific domain, then I can only include it. And if I switch the page to keywords, then we can see that the filters are kept, which is quite nice because then you can also jump between different pages. Let's say add here another filter for the location, and I can also jump back to the rankings page, and also this filter is kept. Apart from the filters, we have of course a few KPIs for the unique URLs that are ranking for specific keywords, the total tracked keywords, and also the average position across all the keywords here on desktop and also mobile devices. Let's say I want to analyze a specific keyword, then I could enter here, for instance, SEO tools, click on enter. And to make it more specific, let's also set a filter for the last 7 days. Now, as you can see, all the tables and also the visualization for the keyword ranking buckets is updated, which allows me to understand the movement and the position based on the device, as well as based on the date. So I can directly see if the ranking is going up or down. And if I want to have a filtered view specific for a device, then I can also see it here on the bottom. Two different tables, one for desktop, the other for mobile, the latest available date at the top. And all of that is really nice if I want to understand the overall performance. But let's say I want to check if I was able to improve the ranking in the last period, which would be in this case 14 days, because we selected 7 days, but we will compare the 7 days with the 7 days prior to that. And for that, we can use the keywords page. And here we can directly see the start position and position for mobile and desktop, as well as the delta, which would be in this case that the start position was 7 and we dropped to position 52, which means we lost in total 45 positions. But on the other hand, for the desktop, we were at the beginning of the period at position 63, and on the last available date, which is here the last day of October, we reached position 26, which means in this case there was a positive improvement of 37 positions. And in order to understand the keyword rank movement over time, so based on the 14 days, we have also here a time series chart which shows 4 different lines, 2 for desktop and 2 for mobile, and of course both periods, so that we can directly see how these pages are performing for the specific keywords. Let's say you're trying to rank for more keywords in different locations for one of your domains, and you could also remove the filter here and also remove the location filter. And now we can directly see in this table based on the color of the rows. So red means obviously that it's a negative trend. So the delta is negative. And a green row shows that there's a positive trend. In case I want to spot directly all the pages, or in other words, keywords where there's a negative trend, then I could also filter on the delta. So in this case, it would be positive, but we want to have the negative values. And now we have a table where we can see all keywords where we have, based on the last 14 days, lost rankings. Let's have a look into the workflow that is used for getting all the data for this dashboard, which is this one, as well as how the Google Sheet looks like for storing the ranking data as well as the data for the keywords that you want to track. And we will start with this one. We can see we have the domain. So as I said, it's possible to track the performance of a keyword for as many domains as you want to. Then obviously we have also a keyword column. So this is the keywords that you want to track. And then we have also parameters such as max def, country, location, language, mobile, desktop, and also if the workflow should monitor the ranking of the keyword or not. So these filters are, first of all, really important for cost controlling, but they are also the reason why the workflow is able to track rankings based on a city. We will start from the left to the right, and the max def column is a value where you can control how many results should be scraped. So in this case, max def would be top 100 results, which also means that the workflow will consume more credits. But in case you only want to track the top 50, top 20, or top 70, or even the top 200, so it depends completely on you. You can directly control how many API calls should the workflow do at maximum for a single keyword. After that, we have country, location, and language, which is quite easy. So the country you want to rank for the keyword as well as the location, so the city in this case. And you can also set the language to get more specific SERP results. And then we have the mobile, desktop, and also the active column. Let's say I want to track only the performance for a keyword for desktop, then I could simply click here on false, and then the workflow won't track the SERP results based on mobile devices, which is another variable which can have a big impact on the cost. And in case you want to stop the tracking for a keyword, then you can simply set the value here to false. So in this case, I would not track the keyword end-to-end Google Search Console API, which means the workflow won't spend any credits on this keyword. Inside the rankings table, we don't have to do anything manually because this data is populated by the workflow itself. And for the columns, we have the date, domain, keyword, position. So where was your domain found for the specific keyword, and also which page is it. So you can also see the ranking URL and also the properties that were mentioned before, such as device, country, location, and language. Now let's run the workflow. And for this, we can see that it should fetch 3 items because all the others are set to false, which means if I execute the workflow, then we will have data for this keyword, this, and also this one. And for that, I will trigger the workflow manually, but you can also add a scheduled trigger in case you want to do it daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or whatever makes sense for your domain. So let's click on execute workflow, and we can see 3 items were fetched, which were Marvomatic, end-to-end Google Search Console template, and end-to-end rank tracker template. And since we decided to track the ranking for mobile and desktop, both sub-workflows will be triggered, merge the data that contains the position for the specific keyword. And after that, the row will be appended to the rankings table, which should be now at the bottom. If we scroll down, then we should be able to see the new data for the domain Marvomatic. And let's say we want to analyze this data directly in the dashboard, then we can simply refresh the data and also reset the filter. And now we should be able to also select here the new domain, which is Marvomatic. And since we have only data for 1 day, we cannot analyze a lot here. But if you run this workflow on a daily or weekly schedule, then you will have more data. Now let's have a look into the cost. So how much does it cost to run this workflow? And first of all, it's important to mention that this workflow is also able to stop on a match, which means this workflow will loop over all pages. So if the max def is 100, then it will loop over the first 10 pages. And let's say it found the keywords that you're ranking for already on the 3rd page, then it will skip and start with the new keyword, which means it will save a lot of credits if you're already ranking in a really good position. In this case, it would skip the last 7 pages, which would be a cost reduction of 70%. But of course, this depends on your ranking for the specific keyword. And the cost also depend on different parameters. First of all, it's using the Zerpa API, which is able to retrieve data based on the location, which is also the reason why this automation is able to retrieve SERP results based on the city. And they don't have a typical subscription model, and instead you can buy credits. As an example, for $50, you get 50,000 credits, which means you can hit the API 50,000 times. And then they have also another plan, the standard and also scale. And the only thing you have to keep in mind is that the credits are only valid for 6 months, which means you should calculate beforehand how many keywords do you want to track and also how frequently, so that you don't lose any credits by the end of this period. And for the cost calculation, I have calculated a few scenarios. So first of all, it depends on which plan you take. If you have a higher plan, then you pay less for a single API call. So in case you get the cheapest plan, which is $50 for 50,000 credits, then you have to pay 0.001 cents per API call. And the more credits you buy, the cheaper gets the single API call. Apart from that, the workflow uses also Google Sheets, which is free, and also Looker Studio for the template, which is also free. So the only thing you have to pay for is Zerpa. And for the calculation, we have different scenarios and also variables, which you can see here. So let's say I want to track a keyword on a daily basis for mobile and desktop and have set the max def to 100. And I bought the second plan, which is the standard plan. Then I have to pay for 10 keywords, $4.50, and obviously for 100 keywords, $45 per month. But since this workflow supports also the configuration of these variables, it's possible to shrink down the cost a lot. As an example, we can configure the device type, the max def, and also through the workflow itself, the trigger. So how often you want to track the keywords, every day, monthly, weekly. So whatever you set here in the schedule trigger. Then this workflow can be really cost effective. As an example, let's say you want to track the ranking of a keyword on a weekly basis and you set the def to 50, so only the first 5 pages are crawled. Then you just have to pay 30 cents for 10 keywords or $3 for 100 keywords, which is quite nice because if you subscribe to any rank tracking tool, they usually don't offer you to configure these variables, which makes them most of the time also really expensive. In case you're interested in learning how these workflows work in general and also how you can build them, then feel free to join the community AI SEO Society, which is free, so you don't have to pay anything for it. And next to that, you will also find other workflows for data analysis and SEO in general, which are here in workflow and templates. And in case you have any question related to the workflow or related to the dashboard, then feel free to add them to the comments, and we will see each other in the next video.